Ethan sat alone in his small room aboard the remote space station, staring at the flickering screen of his personal log. The station was silent tonight, the usual hum of machinery softened by the sleeping crew. He had grown used to these quiet hours, the kind where thoughts roamed freely, and the universe outside his window felt endless. The stars outside seemed sharper tonight, sparkling like diamonds scattered across a black velvet cloth. He leaned back in his chair and sighed, enjoying the rare moment of peace. Suddenly, the door to his room slid open without warning. Ethan froze. A soft breeze of cold air brushed past him, unusual in the carefully climate-controlled quarters. And then he saw her. She stepped into the room as if she owned it. Ethan's eyes widened. She was humanoid, but unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly, a soft silver with hints of blue that seemed to catch the light from nowhere. Her hair floated around her head in gentle waves, defying gravity slightly, as if the room itself acknowledged her presence. She didn't speak. She smiled confidently, a calm and knowing expression that made Ethan feel both alarmed and strangely reassured. Without hesitation, she walked to the small bed in the corner of his room and sat down, her movement fluid and natural. Ethan opened his mouth, but no words came. Finally, she spoke, but not in the way he expected. Her voice filled his mind directly, clear and precise, yet warm. "This bed will do," she said, and then added almost playfully, "It is yours to share with me tonight." Ethan blinked, his heart racing. "Wait, you're talking to me in my head?" he asked aloud. She nodded slightly, as if it were the most ordinary thing in the world. "Yes, that is how I communicate. It is easier than words and faster." He leaned back against the wall, trying to steady himself. "Okay, who are you? What are you doing here? How did you even get in?" She tilted her head slightly, her silver blue eyes studying him with curiosity. "I am Elira. I am here to observe. I mean no harm. My people do not always enter the rooms of others, but your presence has been noted. You were chosen." Ethan's mind spun. Chosen for what? And why did she claim his bed? Chosen for what exactly? Elira smiled again, this time softer, almost amused. "For trust, for courage, for alliance. In my culture, claiming a bed is not what you think. It is a symbol, a sign that I see you as someone capable, someone strong, someone to protect and learn from." Ethan stared at her, still trying to process her words. He had grown up hearing stories of aliens, but nothing like this. He was a human engineer, practical and grounded. Nothing in his training had prepared him for an alien to walk into his room, sit on his bed, and speak directly into his mind. After a long pause, he managed to say, "Okay, I guess, welcome. But you can't just walk into someone's room. It's not normal." She laughed softly, a sound that seemed to fill the room without echoing. "Normal is a human concept. My customs are different. You will learn this soon enough." Ethan rubbed his forehead, trying to shake off the tension. "All right, I'm Ethan, and I guess I'm going to have to learn about your customs then." Elira nodded. "Good. That is the right attitude. Curiosity and understanding will serve you well. You are clever. I can sense it." For a moment, the room returned to silence, filled only by the hum of the station. Ethan watched her, still wary but curious. There was something about her calm confidence that made him feel that, despite the strangeness, he could trust her. After a while, he said, "So, why me? Why now?" She tilted her head, thinking. "Your species has potential. Many underestimate humans. You are capable of innovation, courage, and ingenuity. My people, we have watched. You were chosen because you have qualities that might surprise even yourself." Ethan exhaled slowly. He had always thought of himself as ordinary. He was good at his job, sure, but a chosen human for an alien scout? It sounded impossible. "All right," he said quietly. "I don't know why, but I guess I'm in this now. What happens next?" She smiled again, rising from the bed gracefully. "Next we explore. You will show me your world, and I will show you mine. Only then will you understand the meaning of trust." He stood up, still hesitant, but something in her presence made him want to follow. He grabbed a small flashlight and nodded. "Okay, let's start. But no funny alien tricks, all right?" Elira's eyes twinkled. "No tricks. Only observation. Only learning." They began to walk through the quiet corridors of the station. The lights above cast long shadows, and the walls hummed softly with the life of machinery. Ethan explained the purpose of each control panel, the life support systems, the communications arrays. Elira listened closely, occasionally touching a console, her fingers passing through the surfaces lightly, as if she could sense the energy within. Then a sudden alert flashed across the station monitors. A small maintenance drone had malfunctioned, spinning out of control in the zero-gravity corridor. Ethan reacted instantly, leaping forward and grabbing a nearby magnetic tether. He reached out, looping the tether around the drone, and carefully guided it to a safe docking station. Elira watched, impressed. "Quick thinking, human ingenuity is remarkable," she said telepathically. Ethan paused, catching his breath. "Thanks. I've had practice," he muttered, feeling a little proud. He realized that despite her alien nature, she had a respect for skill, and that respect mattered more than anything. As they continued, Elira began explaining her culture in small, fragmented ways. Her species was not bound by the same rules humans were. Trust, courage, and observation mattered more than possessions or territory. Claiming something, like a bed, was symbolic. It was not about ownership, but about connection, alliance, and understanding. Ethan found himself fascinated. She was completely unlike anyone he had ever met. There was no deceit, no pretense, only honesty in the way she existed and communicated. It was unsettling and exhilarating at the same time. Hours passed as they moved through the station, checking systems, discussing different technologies, and sharing insights. Elira seemed particularly interested in human creativity. She asked questions about decisions, engineering choices, and even the reasoning behind simple things like food storage. Ethan tried to answer as best as he could, realizing that this was more than just a visit. It was a test, a study, and perhaps a first step toward a partnership he hadn't anticipated. Finally, they returned to his quarters. Ethan collapsed onto the edge of the bed, exhausted but exhilarated. Elira stood nearby, watching him with a calm, steady gaze. "You have done well today," she said. "Your mind is sharp, your hands steady, and your heart resilient. I am pleased." Ethan laughed softly. "I don't even know what pleased really means in your terms, but thanks." Elira's expression softened. "It means you are respected. You have passed the first observation. That is rare for humans." Ethan shook his head in disbelief. "I can't believe it. I'm just an engineer. Nothing special." "You underestimate yourselves," Elira replied gently. "Humans are remarkable. Courage, creativity, and the will to survive. These are qualities that define your species. You have them in abundance." He sat quietly, letting her words sink in. Despite the strangeness, despite the cultural gap, he felt a flicker of pride. Perhaps she was right. Perhaps humans did have more potential than he had ever considered. For the first time, he didn't feel so alone on this station. The stars outside the window seemed brighter now, a little closer, a little more alive. and for the first time he wondered what it might mean to share trust, courage, and understanding with someone so entirely different. As he lay back on the bed, Elira returned to the corner of the room, sitting quietly but not leaving. There was no threat, no tension, only presence. Ethan realized that this too was part of her culture, part of the bond they were forming. Trust was not built with words alone, but with understanding, observation, and shared experience. Outside, the station continued its silent orbit around the distant planet. Inside, two beings, one human, one alien, began a journey of learning, respect, and the discovery of unexpected alliances. And as Ethan finally drifted into a light, thoughtful sleep, he knew that the quiet night had shifted into something extraordinary. The universe was larger than he had imagined, and humanity's place in it was full of potential yet to be proven. Tonight, he was reminded that courage could come in many forms, quiet, unassuming, and sometimes even in the form of a silver-skinned alien calmly claiming your bed. Ethan woke with a start. The soft hum of the station felt different tonight, tense, electric, as if something had shifted in the air. He blinked and noticed Elira standing near the doorway, her silver-blue eyes focused on the monitors beside the bed. Something was happening. Without a word, Ethan swung his legs off the bed and followed her gaze. The station's alert lights were flashing red. A warning message scrolled across the main screen. Rogue probe detected approaching station at high velocity. Impact in less than 20 minutes. Ethan's heart pounded. He had trained for emergencies, but this was unlike anything he had practiced. Probes were usually harmless, designed for surveying or minor repairs. But this one was moving too fast, too deliberately. Elira moved closer, her presence calm yet urgent. "It is not a natural malfunction," she said in his mind. "This probe carries intelligence. It adapts. It is aggressive. We must act quickly." Ethan swallowed. "Okay. First things first. How do we stop it before it breaches the station?" She gestured toward the controls. "We must combine your technology with mine. You understand the station's systems. I understand the probe's behavior. Together, we can override it." Ethan nodded, adrenaline sharpening his focus. He ran to the nearest console, fingers flying over the holographic controls. Elira followed, placing her hands near the interface. Energy rippled beneath her touch, interfacing with the station's systems in ways he could barely comprehend. "The probe adapts to patterns," she explained. "If we try standard shutdown, it will reroute and strike. We must think creatively." Ethan frowned, thinking. His mind raced through schematics, past malfunctions, drills, and simulations. Then an idea sparked. If we trick it into thinking the station is already damaged, it might waste its energy stabilizing. That could give us time to shut it down from inside. Elira's eyes glowed softly. "Clever. Humans are more unpredictable than I expected. That will work, but only if you can board it and override the controls directly." Ethan's stomach tightened. Boarding a rogue probe meant zero backup, zero safety net. But the station's survival depended on it. He squared his shoulders. "I'll do it. Let's set the trap." The next minutes were a blur of preparation. Ethan and Elira worked side by side, combining alien technology with human ingenuity. He rerouted power to simulate structural damage, while she projected illusions across the probe's sensors. The rogue probe slowed, its approach slightly destabilized. "Now," Elira said. "Boarding is your only chance." Ethan grabbed a safety tether and suited up. The airlock hissed as it prepared to open, and the zero-gravity corridor felt colder than usual. Every step toward the probe was tense, each moment stretching into eternity. Elira's presence beside him, calm and unwavering, gave him an unexpected sense of confidence. He reached the probe's hatch and forced it open. Inside, the narrow corridors were dark and humming with alien energy. The controls were unfamiliar, but Ethan's hands worked with practiced precision, analyzing patterns and tracing circuits. He remembered the drills, the simulations, the endless hours of learning systems inside and out. His mind adapted quickly, improvising solutions in ways even he hadn't thought possible. Aelira guided him telepathically, providing insights about the probe's adaptive systems. Its core logic is in the central chamber. Override it, and the probe will shut down. Ethan nodded, moving deeper into the probe. Panels glowed faintly as he touched them, inputting commands and rerouting energy. The probe shuddered, resisting, adapting, trying to outthink him. Sweat ran down his temple as he kept a steady rhythm, trusting his instincts and every bit of knowledge he had. Then, a sudden surge of energy jolted the probe. Ethan stumbled, but caught himself. Elira's voice calmed him instantly. Focus. You are stronger than it believes. Adaptation is your strength. He breathed deeply and continued, tracing circuits faster, rerouting power, isolating the rogue logic from its adaptive core. The probe hissed, lights flickering, systems failing. Minutes felt like hours. But finally, the core's energy stabilized. The aggressive movements ceased. The probe was neutralized. Ethan exhaled, exhaustion washing over him. He floated back toward the airlock, tethering himself safely as he re-entered the station. Aelira met him, her calm expression now tinged with something like approval. "You have done well," she said, her voice warm in his mind. "Your species has a remarkable gift for problem-solving. You see, humans are unpredictable, and that unpredictability is powerful." Ethan wiped his brow, still catching his breath. I just did what needed to be done. I guess it worked." Aelira smiled. "It worked because you trusted yourself and used your mind. That is what your people often forget. You are capable of extraordinary things." For the first time, Ethan felt a deep sense of pride. It was not arrogance or bravado. It was recognition that he had faced an impossible situation and prevailed. And it was not just his success. Aelira's presence, her guidance, had been essential. Together, they had combined human creativity with alien insight to survive. The station's monitors returned to normal, the red lights replaced by the gentle hum of routine operation. Ethan slumped onto a chair, his body tired, but his mind alive with exhilaration. Aelira moved to the edge of the room, her gaze softening. "You have earned more than trust tonight," she said. "You have proven the strength of humanity, courage, ingenuity, and adaptability, qualities that make your species unique." Ethan smiled faintly. "I don't feel that unique. Just lucky, maybe." "Luck is part of it," she said gently. "But it is also skill, thought, and perseverance. Humans often underestimate themselves. That is why we observe you. That is why I claimed your bed earlier. It was not what you thought. It was a sign, a bond, a recognition of capability." Ethan paused, reflecting. The memory of her confident smile earlier, her calm presence, the way she had claimed his bed without threat. It all made sense now. It was a symbol of trust, not intimacy. Aelira had chosen him as an equal, someone she could rely on, someone capable of extraordinary action. He finally laughed, a soft, relieved sound. "All right. I guess I understand a little better now. You're different, but I think I get it." Aelira's eyes twinkled. "Different is not a weakness, it is a strength. And tonight, you demonstrated that your species is far more remarkable than many believe." Hours passed as they reviewed the probe's data and analyzed the potential threat for the future. Ethan marveled at the alien technology, the complexity and elegance of systems he had never imagined. Aelira guided him through explanations, showing him how the probe had adapted, how it had learned, and how human unpredictability had disrupted its logic. "You see," she said, "humans have one advantage other species cannot replicate easily: intuition combined with creativity. It is chaotic, yes, but in chaos, strength is found." Ethan nodded. He had always thought of himself as ordinary, but tonight had proven that ordinary humans could do extraordinary things when the moment demanded it. By the time the station settled into quiet again, a calm replaced the earlier tension. Ethan sat back, staring at the stars through the viewport. Elira stood beside him, silent, watching him with her usual calm gaze. It was a moment of shared understanding, a quiet acknowledgement of what had just happened. "You have changed my perspective," Ethan said softly. "I always thought humans were limited, but after tonight, I see now that we have potential beyond what I imagined." "And you have changed mine," Elira replied. "Many of my people doubt humanity, but you have proven that courage and intellect can surpass expectation. Your species is capable of greatness." Ethan smiled, a sense of satisfaction and pride swelling in his chest. He had faced danger, relied on his mind and instincts, and survived. And in doing so, he had formed a bond that transcended species, a bond of trust, respect, and shared experience. As the night deepened, he realized something profound. The universe was vast, full of wonders and threats, but humanity had the tools to navigate it: courage, creativity, and resilience. And with allies like Elira, the possibilities were endless. He lay back on his bed, not alone, but accompanied by the calm presence of someone extraordinary. Sleep came easier now, not filled with fear or uncertainty, but with understanding and hope. Outside, the stars continued their silent journey, endless and distant, yet closer now in meaning. Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The universe had challenges, dangers, and mysteries, but humanity had qualities that could overcome almost anything. And in the quiet companionship of Elira, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Tonight, the space station was safe, and a new partnership had begun, one built on trust, courage, and respect. Ethan's life had changed in ways he could never have imagined, and he looked forward to discovering what humanity could achieve when paired with beings who believed in them as much as Elira did. The stars outside seemed to pulse with possibility, and Ethan, a human among the infinite cosmos, finally understood that courage, ingenuity, and trust could make even the smallest human shine across the universe.